So if you're someone like me who carries a lot of responsibility, a lot of expectations, a lot of internal pressure to get everything right, maybe this year isn't about pushing harder or controlling more. Maybe it's about showing up fully for what's yours to do and letting go of the rest, right? Doing the work, implementing the healthy habits, acting with intention, and trusting that the outcome will unfold the way it's meant to. Welcome back to the Rooted in Resilience podcast. Today is a little bit of a different style episode. It's just going to be me and you one-on-one, kind of a shorter reflection. So today I want to talk about my word for 2026, which is surrender. And so I wrote about this in our newsletter. So we send out a weekly Sunday newsletter for Strong.Sistas. And I got so many replies back from our newsletter subscribers saying how much it really resonated with them. And it's a very personal, deep topic, and it applies to life, work, and health. And so I thought I'd share it here on the podcast with this short, personal, one-on-one style convo with you and expand on this topic of surrender a little bit. Because the truth is, this topic of surrender is something that I am actively working on right now in life. And truthfully, I'm not where I want to be, right? Not personally, not in business. There's still so much work to be done. I have so many other things that I want to do in my life, but kind of reflecting that it's okay to not be there. And it's really hard to sit with that. But yeah, let's dive into surrender, okay? So I think a lot of people who look at people who run businesses online, entrepreneurs, they assume that if things look successful from the outside, then the people who are running the business must feel like you've arrived, right? Like you have figured it out. Life is smooth sailing and easy. I think a lot of people glamorize entrepreneurship, the freedom, the flexibility, the build your dream narrative, always only doing what you're passionate about. And that's just it's just not reality, right? The true reality is that building something meaningful does come with a lot of burden and weight. A lot of responsibility, like the people that you are responsible for, their livelihoods, the decisions, the constant mental load, especially in something you're building that, is impacting a lot of people, where the decisions that we're making, for example, at Nourish Food Club, it impacts our team, our packers, customer support team, our customers, and then all of the farm families that we work with. It can be really hard to handle that mental load and responsibility. And it's not just at Nourish Food Club. It's not just at our business. This is for many people, right? I'm just sharing personally that load can feel very heavy, often, almost constant, right? And so this feeling of responsibility, it kind of encourages you to grip tighter than you should. And this is where I'm talking about this surrender, right? So we grip tighter than we should. We try to control everything. We overthink every decision, and we're constantly carrying more than is actually yours to carry, right? And I've realized this over the past year that unfortunately, this tendency that happens with work, it doesn't just neatly stay packaged in work, because entrepreneur is not Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. It kind of entrepreneurship blends in with your life, right? And so these things that happen in work can spill into everything else, right? Relationships, daily life. And that is really where this word surrender is stemming from. And so the original thought of surrender was planted in my head by my friend, Dr. Alex Orton. He was on the podcast recently with the episode titled When Holistic Becomes Conventional. So definitely check that one out after you listen to this podcast. And he mentioned the idea of surrender for me. And the more that I sat with this word surrender, the more I realized this is something I deeply need to work on, because surrender is not natural for me. And maybe it's not natural for you either. Because truly, I care deeply. I really want to help people. I really want to make a positive change in this world, but I also worry. I overthink. I try to hold everything together with effort and control. And surrender can feel like the opposite of that, right? And so before we dive in deeper, I think it's important to first start with let's define surrender together. It's not the version that we associate with war, right? Where surrender means defeat or loss. The kind of surrender I'm talking about here is different. It doesn't mean giving up. It's releasing attachment to the outcome while staying fully committed to the effort. I still show up, I still do the work, I still make thoughtful decisions, and I still care deeply. We're not giving up. But I try to stop micromanaging how, when, or exactly what the result has to look like. Because truthfully, so much of that is actually outside of our control anyway. And so for me, surrender is doing my part with integrity and then trusting that life and God will meet me where it's meant to. I'm responsible for the inputs. I still have to put in the effort, but I'm not responsible for the exact timeline or the form of the outcome. And this is really hard in entrepreneurship or in life or in health. But there's this strange paradox that seems to happen here, right? And why can't I just accept this? When you surrender, your nervous system calms down, you make better decisions, and you stop burning precious energy on fear and control, right? And so the result of those changes is that you may actually get better outcomes because you're not sabotaging yourself with stress and rigidity around things you can't control. Now, something else I've been thinking about lately is, why is surrender so hard for so many of us today? And I think there are two main things, amongst many others, I'm sure. But first, one big part, I think, is information overload in this modern social media and internet landscape, right? We live in a world where we can access endless information at any moment in time. Not even on our computer anymore, on our phone. And who knows, maybe this is going to chips inside of our brain. I won't be signing up for that. But if we feel uncertain, we can Google something or ask AI right away. If we feel anxious, we can research more. If we don't know what to do, there are thousands or millions of opinions waiting for us online. And so instead of sitting with uncertainty, we enter this never-ending loop of seeking more and more information. More podcasts, more articles, more experts, more strategies, more protocols, because we fear that if we don't do something, we lose control and something bad will happen, right? But sometimes we don't need more information. We need trust and we need time. We need trust that we're already doing many of the right things, trust that the process takes time, and trust that not everything can be optimized or controlled. And I'm realizing that embracing those mindsets, that's where peace lives, right? I want peace in life, but it's hard to get there. And learning to sit with the unknown is really uncomfortable. Why is it hard for me, maybe for you, to just sit and do absolutely nothing for 30 minutes? I've started to do this every day. Dr. Alex Orton has challenged me. I'm starting with just 15 minutes and trying to work my way up from there. But isn't it crazy that 15 minutes is hard? I've also started weekly acupuncture, and that's another activity where you are literally forced to not do anything because you're on a table with needles. You literally can't move. You can't do anything, right? So I went over the first roadblock, information overload. I think the second major roadblock to truly being able to surrender is fear. And this one is just very real for me because fear shows up in two main ways, right? Either you try to control everything because you're afraid of what might happen, or you don't even start the dang thing because you are afraid of what's going to happen, right? So you don't even do it in the first place. Whether that's in life, in business, with a health goal, relationships, trying to lose weight, starting at the gym, you're afraid, and so you don't even start. And so fear can make us grip too tightly, or it can make us frozen. And when you really sit with it, like, what are you afraid of? What exactly am I afraid of? Fear takes up so much mental space, so much energy. It's like running a background program on your computer that's taking up valuable processing power, but in your brain all day long. And imagine what life would be like if that wasn't running in the background, right? It's so much easier to say this out loud to you guys, but truly, when you think about fear and failure, what's the worst thing that can happen? Okay, the worst thing is that you fail, right? Something doesn't work out. Maybe you make a mistake. But then what? You learn something, you adjust, you keep going, and life continues, right? Almost every meaningful thing in life comes with uncertainty and fear. Starting a business, building relationships, improving your health, starting a weight loss journey, moving somewhere new. All of it requires stepping into the unknown. And if we wait until fear disappears before we take action, we will be waiting for forever. So surrender is also about making peace with uncertainty. If we make peace with uncertainty, we can drop some of that fear that's holding us back in life, relationships, or our health, right? It's about not needing guarantees, not needing to know exactly how everything will unfold, trusting that you can handle whatever happens next. And if things don't go according to plan, oh well, we'll learn, we'll adapt, and we'll keep moving forward, right? Again, so much harder to do in life than to say out loud, but this is the word of 2026, surrender. So here are a few reframes that I've been practicing lately that are hopefully helping me to surrender. And I have noticed some huge shifts, right? For example, not ruminating at night as much, like waking up in my sleep, that's gone drastically down. So here are these reframes. One is, I will do what's mine to do and release what isn't. I've actually gotten pretty good at this one. I'm getting better, truly. Another reframe is, you're allowed to care without carrying everything. That one's difficult. Another reframe I really like is, act with intention and trust the outcome. Again, put in the work, put in the effort, and then trust that everything is going to be okay rather than trying to micro manipulate. And then probably the most powerful one for me lately has been, I can handle whatever comes next. We got this. We got this. Now, again, I want to reiterate, this is all very much a work in progress for me. This isn't something I've mastered, but I hope that this kind of shows like no one has life figured out, right? We're all dealing with these things. It's okay, right? But they are holding us back. And this embracing this word surrender for 2026 just really feels like the right move for me. I'm really resonating with it. I've got note cards on my mirrors. I am journaling these reframes. And I think it's taking me towards a stage of life that has more presence, more connection, more peace, and ultimately more enjoyment along the way. And in the beginning, I kind of presented this in the mindset of like work or life, but I think surrender applies just as much to health challenges, because in health, surrender can look like nourishing your body consistently with enough calories and micronutrients, giving it the right tools, not punishing it for not responding instantly or making rapid changes, trusting that the body knows what to do, putting horse blinders on and not listening to all the noise on social media with the next hack or supplement, and understanding that healing happens in seasons, not on demand, right? So we're showing up with care, patience, good healthy habits, and integrity without forcing outcomes, constantly searching on the internet of what could be wrong, constantly trying to find the next fix, and not fighting our body in the process. Because again, surrender isn't about letting go of effort. It's about letting go of the fear that you have to carry everything alone. And the fear that if we're not constantly trying to solve the problem, something bad will happen. So if you're someone like me who carries a lot of responsibility, a lot of expectations, a lot of internal pressure to get everything right, maybe this year isn't about pushing harder or controlling more. Maybe it's about showing up fully for what's yours to do and letting go of the rest, right? Doing the work, implementing the healthy habits, acting with intention, and trusting that the outcome will unfold the way it's meant to. So that is the practice that I am stepping into this year in 2026, surrender. And I hope that this reflection kind of resonates with you. And if you want to hear more of these like deeper thoughts, more nuanced thoughts, you should check out the Strong.Sistas weekly newsletter. It's a free weekly newsletter and we send it out just every Sunday and we take turns writing. So every other Sunday you get my weird worldview and then the next week you get Sarah's, and they're honestly so different, unique, and valuable in their own way. And so we share, what we're learning as entrepreneurs, navigating future motherhood, diving into nuanced health topics, and occasionally sharing recipes along the way. I really like kind of sharing like reminders, right? Bringing people back to baseline, not getting lost in these hacks and things like that. And so, if you would like to follow along there, you can sign up for our free newsletter at Strong.Sistas.com or just check the link in the description below. But cheers to 2026. In my eyes, in Ashley's eyes, it's the year of surrender, where we are going to let go of the fear of what could happen if we don't constantly try to fix things. We are going to do things with integrity and intention, still going to put in the effort, and then let go of that fear. Because imagine how much more we could live. Imagine how much more we can experience when we aren't spending precious mental energy on that, right? Trust that life, God, the plan is ahead of us. Like what's supposed to happen is going to happen. Of course, we got to put in the work, but I'm going to read off that one that really resonates. Reframe. Ready. I can handle whatever comes next. We can. Okay. Well, that's all for this week's Rooted in Resilience podcast. Until next week, stay rooted in resilience and surrender.